I will say the lighting for this job was expensive.
What is exactly making that beautiful little curved line in her eyes?
That is about 24 sky panels, all in a curve. It was pretty prescriptive. She was like, I want her to stand up right here. I'm only, how many takes of this am I gonna get? This kind of choreography is really reliant on a specific camera position. Like, you gotta get that perspective right. Well, we had a 45-foot Scorpio crane. There was a second camera that just lived on a dolly. Yeah, we rented those as basically a prop. I didn't actually use these to light anything. I would say that 1/3 of the track is real. And this stage is probably one of the only stages in North America where you could get a shot like this.
All right. Honestly, yes, it's so fun to see how commercials on this level are made and to talk to the filmmakers behind them. But when I look at the work alone of cinematographer Oliver Millar, I see imagery that I could only dream of making. Oliver knows how to light massive studios, work with A-list talent, and finesse the most intricate camera moves. But the thing is, he'll be the first to tell you that he's still figuring it out.
Yeah, I've shot like a lot of bad stuff. I don't see myself as having the answers to anything. I'm more of a helper. Like I was never the one who had like the best original ideas, but I was always the one who like listened to someone's idea and was like, oh, that's cool, let me riff off of that or build off of that.
As accomplished as Oliver is, I can honestly say that he's one of the most humble and grounded filmmakers I've ever spoken to. Still learning, still evolving, still making mistakes, like the rest of us.
Filmmaking is, you're projecting the 3D world onto a 2D plane. That's like the medium, and I've been obsessed with that medium since I was 9.
We covered a lot in this conversation, but something that stuck out to me was what he said. When I asked him if he gets the same level of satisfaction from creating images as he did when he was 9 years old. Hey, Dylan here. Look, I'm trying to make this thing the best that it could possibly be, and I could use your help in the comments section. Leave me some feedback and be critical. I can take it. Also, if you would be so kind, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and it'll help me in my personal mission to make as many of these as possible. Thank you.
Well, Ali, it's a huge pleasure to talk to you. A lot of your work is referenced. I know we've certainly featured it as frame set more than once. And a lot of our community, a lot of people in the comments section, I've just requested hearing from you. So it's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah. That's cool. Nice to meet you and talk to you.
I mean, there's no definition for what good work is, but for many filmmakers, young and old, your work and what you bring to the table is generally considered highly aspirational. I mean, being signed with iconic shooting commercials for the biggest apparel companies, featuring some of the most recognizable faces of all time, it's a qualifier. Is there something you can contribute to being where you're at in your career?
You just got to follow what you enjoy. So I don't think that I ever made a strategy like, I got to do this to do that. I got to like, meet these people and hobnob with these, filmmakers and get into this, circle of producers, whatever. There's no strategy. You just always got to take the projects that you think are fun and you're interested in, and then the rest kind of follows, I think, because that's why people hire you, I think, because you like have to really love it. Yeah. Like you're the one of the last people standing between like really caring, right, about the image. Like really, you're getting hired to like really care.
Yeah. It's definitely easy to care about the image when you're so motivated to create it. When it's something you really want to do. I mean, people do what they want to do, right? They put the energy into the things that interest them, and clearly, you've done that. Have you reached a point, because I think a lot of people, to create the images they want with limited resources and limited experience, they kind of have to make it up in the beginning. Did you do a lot of that?
Basically paying my dues in the beginning. Like, yeah, I've shot like a lot of bad stuff. Like, and of course, everyone starts like, trolling Craigslist or just doing whatever project that can like keep them busy. So
yeah.
I don't have standards. Like I didn't. I just did like projects that were like, oh, cool, like that sounds fun. I'm not busy. I'm available. And like there was a lot of really bad stuff, and you learn like you learn to appreciate like when there's something that's like really, really great coming your way, and then you're like, okay, drop everything. This is the good one. Can't mess around.
What's a bad project by Oliver Millar back in the day?
I love telling these stories. It's like doing corporate videos for like a pyramid scam, like when you're, 19 years old. Like, you're just like trying to like hold back the laughter as like these people just sort of like, put on a show.
Yeah, my first job was 17 years old. I worked for my church doing like church news videos, announcements and stuff. And it was really good community building. But I know what you mean, where it's like you find yourself in a room with all this passion, creating something that you quite don't know how to do. But you find someone is willing to pay you a wage of any type in order to do the thing that you want to do. Especially in the beginning, like I don't think you can be too picky. Yeah,
and it's all great for the stories. It's character building stuff.
100%.
And then there's the world of music videos. Like that's a whole, like there's a whole spectrum there. And I started out doing like loads of music videos, most of which were really good actually, because in Canada where I started out, there used to be this really great government program that gave funding to Canadian artists to increase the budgets of their music videos to make them more legit. So when I probably would have been doing, $500 music videos anyways, just for fun because I wanted to, we would be getting budgets of 5,000 or more. And then you can actually kind of like pretend to be professional and through the process just learned so much. So
do you remember your first time on set where you walked on and you're like, okay, oh wow, this is a machine I'm not used to looking at?
Yeah, I remember it super clear because it was in film school, like most people, I guess, and I was a junior, super green, never been on a film set, and the system at that film school was the junior students would go and take a minor role on the senior students' like grad film. So these older kids, hadn't seen them around, didn't know them, weren't friends with them because they were like, in my eyes, like off doing big stuff and like out shooting. They're never around, like super busy. So as a early on, I was like interning at Panavision, like learning how to load film cameras and like learning stuff, and I got the job to second AC on the grad film, and I was like practicing how to load the SR3, like how to load mags, how to work that camera, because that's what I thought I'd be doing. And then I get to set and they were like, oh, we don't trust this kid to like load film. Hell no, we're gonna get like this other guy to load the film because that's super sensitive. And I'm like, yeah, critical. Fair enough. Okay, I gotta earn it. I get it. Okay, I'll just do whatever you say. And they're like, well, you can slate. That's what a second AC does. And they hand me this slate, and I'm like, oh yeah, sweet. This is great. I'll be right in the thick of things, right on set, right beside the camera. Because again, this is all new to me. Never seen a film set. No idea how stuff actually worked, like the mechanics of a film set.
Yeah.
But I did not know the phonetic alphabet at all. Like I didn't know the whole like Apple, Baker, Charlie, like the like military words you use for the letters. And I was just saying like, take one A, or like take 1B or whatever. And they were so mean to me. They were like, no, you have to say apple. And I was like, okay, apple. And I'd like clap it. And they would like, and then I'd be like, oh, what's D? And then I'd get so nervous. I'd just say like D or whatever. And then they just like rip into me as the film was rolling through their camera. And I'm like, guys, just go. Like I clapped it, just go. So they were just like really, really mean.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about the bottom and kind of some of your origins. I want to get right into the weeds on a project that you shot that is the opposite of the low end.
Together. Move. Learn. Dream. Together. Win. Lose. Fail. Try again. Get back up. Grow. Together. Move. Learn. Dream. Together. Whether we're athletes or not.
So I want to just walk through some quick rapid fire details on this one.
Sure.
Location, where did you guys shoot it?
A giant studio. Stage 27 on the Sony lot, which used to be MGM. It's one of the most famous studios in America. I think the biggest one by volume. So that brought, to me at least, like a lot of good vibes.
Wait, so this whole track isn't even real?
Well, the surface is real. That's probably a whole story. You should interview Brielle, a production designer. She moved mountains to build a legit track that people could actually run on. There's a whole special company that does it. Like, it took a really long time to dry. We had to shine all the lights and turn all the fans on and try to get it to dry in time. I think the paint was still wet for some of the shots.
What time of day and how many shoot hours?
Well, I think the reason it was decided to shoot in the studio is because we wanted to shoot during the day. You know, it wanted to be a dark kind of night look, and there was no possibility of having a location that could be dark. So it had to be built.
What about your crew? Size of it? What did it look like?
My crew, I couldn't have done it without having like a long time good relationship with my crew in LA. So this is, my LA crew. And without their power, I don't think this would have been possible because, there's several reasons I can explain, but it's pretty hard doing this in studio. I don't think we knew it would be so hard, but it's tough to do this kind of size of lighting on a commercial where it's only like you only have like 2 or 3 days, but the amount of lighting you need is like you only see that on like TV shows and movies. So it's tough to push that through on a commercial. But because of having a good relationship with this crew and them really knowing their stuff and knowing how to work the system, they were able to get like a massive lighting setup pulled off.
I want to talk about the camera body, the film stock, the lenses, the eyes in which you chose to tell this story through. What were those? So
we wanted to shoot on film, of course. Sarah always pushes for that, but for whatever reason, it wasn't possible on this project. So we shot Sony Venice, and we wanted a clean lens that was still like sort of softish. So I went with signature primes, which I think was right for this, like full frame, pretty clean and sharp, and it gave me the tools to play with depth of field and stuff. So, but still kind of soft and buttery. I like those lenses a lot. So we used those, but then we processed the footage with a bit of grain and halation to try to pretend that we shot on film, and that generally looks pretty good.
Add that little texture back in. How did you guys do that? I've heard about some like projecting processes, or is this something you added with the colorist?
Yeah, with the colorist, you know, projecting back to film is fun if you can mess around with it. Like if you can print it back to like 16 mil, like pushed, and like you choose not a print stock, but like you print it to like a shooting stock, so there's more grain, and then when you rescan it, you like run it through the color again. So like if you have time to experiment, I think it's cool. But in my experience, I think you can get exactly what you want just in the digital grade, because there's some pretty good tools now for emulating the texture and halation and stuff.
What are those tools, real quick?
Oh, like halation, that's like the biggest giveaway. Like if you can get like a really good halation around your highlights, that's sort of like that's the magic of film for me, is that the film has a thickness. So like your warmer like wavelengths, because I think they're at the bottom of the emulsion, the light scatters a little more, so it results in like this little glow that comes around your highlights that tends to be a bit warm. So that's like, if I can get that looking real digitally, then that's
cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would think that it's like the graininess that makes it that, you know, but for you to go first to the halations.
That's the part that really makes my mind believe that something is on film. And then there's like the whole, like, you know, psychology of that and what that brings to the table. Like if you psychologically feel like it's on this medium that you associate with like your favorite movies of old, like then it brings that psychological benefit. It's like for me at least, I think it's purely psychological. The associative, like visual to memory association.
Yeah. I was going to ask this question later, but do you think film is truly timeless? Like, do you think we'll always shoot on film?
Yeah, I think people are going to realize this, like, as, you know, digital tech kind of gets away from us. I think I'm realizing this. Digital is getting away from us every day, because there's like infinity is really crazy, and digital is in a sense not limited. So there's this idea of infinity, which I think about a lot. Like you can record and record and record into oblivion, and it's not physical. So that's like a big fundamental difference. If you have something physical, you have to follow like physical laws. You are inherently limited, as we are as physical people. Like we live in a physical world. Like things are hard. Things are physical. There's no infinite void of time, of energy, of space, of anything. But digital has this infinite void hiccup, which I think is a little bit of it's a blessing and a curse. Like, yeah, it's great. You can roll forever. You don't have to be worried about the cost and all of these things, but the philosophical ability to roll forever and just put data into the void, as we are all doing every day. Like imagine how many, you know, shitty photos of the sunset are in the cloud. Everyone thinks they're taking the world's best photo on their iPhone of the, you know, sunset. It's just like there's terabytes forever of, like, what's the statistic of how much stuff gets uploaded to YouTube every second? Like terabytes, like thousands of hours, more hours than anyone could ever watch in a whole lifetime. So film is like, it's a hard piece of material And there's an analog between the physical material and the physical world, like our attention span to actually watch a movie. So that's limited, and the film is also limited. And even though there's sort of like a murky relationship between those two, I do think it's a real relationship. And we perceive it in different ways. Some people talk about like, hey, attitude on set, like people are more focused. That's great. That whole thing is amazing. People talk about the aesthetic nature of it. It just looks more rich. There's more depth. There's more contrast. Like, yeah, that's true too. So those relationships are all many factors. But I think the big envelope of this argument is that it's physical, and we are physical, and digital is not physical, but yet we are physical.
I don't know if it's related to film much anymore, but I do find myself gravitating towards like the physical, the tactile, the analog. I just sparked up my old camera from the 90s that you put a VHS tape into, and I digitized it. And I'm telling you what, Ollie, every weekend I'm running around with that thing, just like capturing through this eye that digital, like in the way that like it's 4K is infinitely big, is 8K. It can't do that kind of thing. And I'm just like, I find myself lovingly relating to it.
Yeah, and I guess there's counter arguments to what I said, but
Sure.
But it is a fact, though. It is a fact. I think they are like people as filmmakers' arguments for shooting digitally are fully valid, and there are probably films that are really, really great that could not have been done had it not been for digital cameras. Probably.
Yeah.
But I think what I said before is still a fact. It's a physical medium for a physical world, and digital is abstract.
Yeah.
So I like that relationship to it, but can you imagine like how difficult it would be to film certain things now on film? Like it's that argument is pretty valid too. Like I'm not sure if you'd be able to shoot certain projects on film now and achieve some of the setups.
That was a really fun sidebar. I want to get back into this piece with Zendaya.
Yeah, so we shot digital.
Great, we shot digital.
We shot digital. We shot 2 cameras. We used Signature Primes and Sony Venice.
Cool.
And I had a really great DIT named Ashish who really helped me on set get a great look.
I want to talk about these first 2 shots. That establishing moment of Zendaya. What were you guys going for here?
Introducing her. The light kind of coming on, but we wanted to not have just like a blast of light. We wanted it to be like a little more romantic. So like this shaft of light opening up on her eyes. I just wanted to make that connection to the lens in the eyes.
I noticed this shot that follows afterwards. It feels right, but it feels a little different. What did you do differently in terms of lighting on this second shot here?
I think it was shot at the same time. We had 2 cameras there.
Really?
Yeah, maybe there was like a slight adjustment. Yeah, maybe we just had to make it a bit brighter.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the celebrity aspect, when it comes to like lighting the face and crafting an image that's featuring a person as iconic as Zendaya, what's that like? Are there like other people having say on the way that she looks on the monitor? Or are you guys putting more time and energy into certain shots that feature her up close? What is that like?
Oh yeah, there's like a million people have opinions on it. But with the leadership of Sarah, and like she's had these conversations already. So when it gets to me on the pre-light, we've got a stand-in. We've got a pretty good idea of what everyone's happy with, what everyone wants, and so I won't be stepping out of line because she's already kind of established what she's going for and what everyone's going to be happy with, and that's all the behind the scenes job for the director is like preparing everyone for following her vision.
Yeah.
And then my job is to just help her with that.
These lights here, are they just, did you actually use them to light the set, or is this like just an insert you guys captured on the day?
Yeah, we rented those as basically a prop. I didn't actually use these to light anything. I did use them to try to dry the paint on the floor though, because they're really warm. I think we turned them on and just tried to bake the track for a couple days. But no, these are purely set up as a prop. These like giant maxi brutes. Pretty cool lights. I love the way the filaments just sort of keep burning. And this shot may have been played in reverse because you see this like little fade up there, but I think that's like the burn off when you shut it off and you play it in reverse and you get that little burn off. I'm not sure, but maybe.
Yeah, it's amazing to have a light that beautiful and big and then not use it for your subject, right?
Yeah, it's super impractical, unfortunately. Like, this is just one of the things, like, it would be impossible to set up the amount of light on a 2-day commercial if you had to run distro to, like, each one of those would be like, 20 kilowatts of power. Like, if you had to run the distro rigging alone would be like a whole day or maybe more if all of the lights in the studio had to be tungsten, but we used sky panels, so you could just run a stinger to each one really easy.
Nice. I was going to ask, like, the light in this shot here, what did you use to key her with?
That's probably a 12K, just a 12K for now. So a tungsten light that has a bit of a burn off and has a nice lens on it so that the shadow is really clean.
Yeah, so what percentage do you think LEDs versus tungsten were you guys working with here?
Oh, like 90. I think everything's LED except for this one light because I wanted a really nice old school Fresnel lens. But I was just using these new aperture lights, like cheap LED Fresnels, and they've got great lenses too. So
Together.
I want to talk about this human wave-like structure that happened here. I mean, this is such an incredible thing, and I noticed that the camera's not moving at all in this frame. Can you just tell me about what your approach was to capturing this amazing choreography?
Sarah's a genius. So she rehearsed all of this. She designed all of these moves and with her choreographer, and I went to the rehearsal, and then we had another rehearsal in the actual stage. And the bottom line is, like, the camera does not need to do anything but capture the artwork that is going on here, and just the lighting is just meant to support it. So yeah, if the camera's doing too much, moving willy-nilly, you're not going to sense this. This kind of choreography is really reliant on a specific camera position. So here, these dancers are on some risers, like bleachers. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is plated in 2 parts because it didn't have that many people. I think they were on like the lower section, then everyone moved up to the upper section. And if you look hard enough, you can see identical twins.
So you're telling me that, like, there's only half as many people in this shot?
I think so. I think that this is one of the ones where we had to plate it.
Yeah, and I can actually spot some of this now.
Some identical twins, yeah. Yeah,
so wait, that's roto? I mean,
But the whole idea was that we couldn't afford like hundreds of people.
Yeah, gosh, the roto job in that, with all those different layers and stuff, must have been insane.
And that's a whole thing as well. Like, against black, I was skeptical of like doing roto against black, but the truth is, if the end goal is to like composite two dark spaces together, it's better off to just shoot it all against black. So there's no green screen or blue screen or any kind of chroma. It's just all black.
I mean, we were talking about camera movement in general. It's great. You seem to really choose the right moments to go completely static. You and Sarah, to just go completely static and let what's happening in the frame do the talking. But you also have it next to these really dynamic and fast movements. You know, what tools did you guys use to make these huge dramatic camera movements?
Yeah, well, we had a 45-foot Scorpio crane.
Cool.
And
nice.
Really put it to use. I think we just stayed on it most of the time, even for the statics, because we needed it to access the position really quickly. And then there was a second camera that just lived on a dolly. And then in a situation like that big overhead shot, we actually had to go so high. Like, that's not on a crane anymore. That's on a massive cherry picker.
What's it like when you get a camera up that high on a cherry picker? Is there any kind of like shake? Do you guys have to like let it settle for a minute? I mean, what did that look like?
It's a simple setup, but usually it goes up there with one operator and one ASA just to kind of like keep an eye on everything. And then, once you get it into position, you let it settle. Just got to make sure there's enough batteries, probably a couple depth lenses in case you need to like go wider or go tighter. And then they'll just have to sit up there for a minute. And this stage is probably one of the only stages in North America where you could get a shot like this, because it was actually designed during the Busby Berkeley era in Hollywood in the 40s. So Busby Berkeley was this famous choreographer and director who did this kind of dance. Like you've seen these movies with like the prismatic dance numbers where the dance numbers that would like sink into water slowly or like be very prismatic like this with these graphic top shots. He kind of started that back in like the 30s and 40s. Wow. And this stage was then built and he used it for those shots. Literally, this is where he did them, because underneath that place there's a pool like that. You can take the floor off and you can fill it with water.
Wow. That's incredible.
And so I was like up in the catwalk, and carved into the wood, like in the rafters of this studio, are like crew from those days, from like the 40s. What? Yeah, it's all still there.
Did you carve your name next to them?
I didn't. Not classy, but there was a lot of not classy names carved into this.
Oh, sure. This shot in particular, I think it's pretty darn unique. Just kind of walk me through the thought process here.
It's done in two parts. So Zendaya's shot was just her alone, and then the feet were plated separately, probably even the day before.
Interesting.
Yeah,
you guys shot that the day before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the feet jumping, little trampoline setup.
Nice, great job matching the lighting on there. It feels really good.
Yeah, didn't want to kick anyone in the head. That's all.
The timing and the blocking on this shot in particular, I would consider everything that's happening is pretty motivated by Zendaya. Can you just kind of walk me through the process and how that transpired on the day when it comes to the blocking?
The blocking was always actually, Sarah knew exactly how she wanted it to go down. So it was pretty prescriptive. She was like, I want her to stand up right here. Like, this is the shot where she stands up and everyone's stretching. So, and I actually was like, does she need to stand up? Like, is there going to be enough time for that in the edit? Like, also, in the back of my mind, I'm like, doing a boom up, like with her, like, I'm only, how many takes of this am I going to get? Like a perfect boom up. So I was like a little nervous, and then, but no, it made sense, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. It's really nice. It's very David Fincher, the way that it's kind of
precise.
Precise. Yeah, exactly. This light kind of flash that happens as she looks over. Was that planned?
Yeah, so I wanted to have this like kind of pulsation of light. Like I knew that the camera's all very static throughout most of the spot, but it'd be nice if the light had some like flow to it. So we had put like this chase on the the lighting rig, so that it would kind of like wash over the set like here and there. And it's pretty subtle, but I'm glad that you noticed. You get these little washes of light.
Going back to this wide shot here, I'm assuming the bleachers, like the scale of this around the track was put in post or no?
Yeah. There was, I would say that 1/3 of the track is real though. Like there was, I think the whole curve in the foreground, and then the whole like left side was made for real, and then squeezed into the studio, and then everything else is a painting.
That's amazing. This last shot here. This is an amazing shot, but what does it look like outside of this? Like, what's the world look like?
If you just boomed down from that really, really wide top shot, and you boomed all the way down, that's exactly what it was. There was no change in the lighting, actually.
Wow. I want to talk about her eyes for a second. What is exactly making that beautiful little curved line in her eyes?
That is about 24 sky panels, all in a curve.
Wow.
Yeah, because we wanted to light the track all evenly, so we curved the lights with the track, and that's, you know, 1/4 of the circle. So it's like about, yeah. I think maybe they weren't all turned on. We turned it on so that it just looked like a little 1/4 circle, like this little arc. But yeah, that's just like the whole studio lighting all on.
Yeah, it's amazing that the scale of the eye light, how it in order to create something that looks so small in her eyes, is actually so big in real life.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, we could have scaled it down if we only needed this shot, but the fact is we needed like we needed to be able to pull out super, super wide, so easier to just light for the wide. And it's awesome when it works out that the lighting in the wide is also good, like really good for the close-up. That's not always the case.
Yeah, gosh, yeah, that's a huge, huge bonus.
Yeah, I will say the lighting for this job was expensive. We had to, and thanks to my gaffer, but we had to like really push to make a case for like, okay, look, it's a giant studio. Like you got to be able to see stuff, and then also we could use cheaper lights, but then the distro on those lights would take so long. You'd probably pay an extra day or more on the labor. So you got to use these sky panels, which are expensive, but you save a day, and then you can control them and do all this really, really nice high-end lighting effects.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in the end of the day, producer who's a good friend, he bit the bullet. Oliver, this is the most expensive lighting setup ever, but it was worth it. so they were
amazing.
Thankful in the end. Yeah, everyone on board. It's good when that's the case.
Yeah, I think good producers will know that if you go really cheap in one way, it's going to cost you in time in the end.
Oh yeah, it's a short-term, long-term thing. Like, okay, they're going to pat you on the back in that moment, but then when you're on set and like it's too dark, they would pay anything to have more light. So
yeah.
That's what you always go for, is like making sure that it's going to work.
What separated this project for you personally against other projects that you've worked on?
Well, every project with Sarah is with C Prinz. She's works so hard, like just so prepared, and so it's like that's what makes a difference. I always love those experiences when it's like you really are able to go all in on it, because you're not going to waste your time at all. Like everything that you work hard for is worth it, because you know that the vision has been prepared. Like she knew exactly what she was doing. So I could work really, really hard and feel great about it, because it wasn't like there wasn't any uncertainty if I was going to like do the right thing or like push for the right thing. It was like that was all done because she does her homework. She comes like so prepared and
Wow.
yeah, like 50 dancers. She knows like everyone by name. Like like massive dance setup. One person's like out of sync by like a fraction of a second. She knows their name. Like that's how prepared she is, because she's been working on this for like 2 weeks, just rehearsing the dance. It's incredible.
I mean, talking about being prepared, I know you like to be prepared, clearly. Preparation means pre-production on a certain project sometimes. How do you like to be involved as the DP in the pre-production of a project?
Oh, well, I think anyone would say as much as possible. Yeah. Like as early as possible and as much as possible. I like to see everything. I'm big on locations too. Like if there's locations being scouted, I feel like locations are just one of those things that it like affects some of the key decision making. And so no DP likes to be surprised like with the location, like on the day of the tech scout. It should not be the first time you see a place.
What do you do when you feel like you haven't been involved enough, but you want to be the most prepared? Like if not being involved in the location scout, what does Ollie do?
Well, don't give up. Like just try to get out there and make up for it. You'll go scout it yourself. I'm inspired by many production designers that I've met along the way who they just take it upon themselves. And for them, for a production designer, because there's a lot more like physical builds, right? So I learned from them that like there's no excuse for not preparing themselves. So even if they weren't invited to like early prep conversations, they'll be out there, showing up to the locations totally on their own, just figuring stuff out because they have to. Maybe the DP could like, just sort of wing it, but I learned from these like incredible production designers who are so dedicated, like they just take it upon themselves. And so I guess that's what I would do. In certain situations, I'll fly myself out somewhere to like look at something or like, just show up to a location alone to study the light. That's pretty common.
I think especially for people who work at the highest level or aim to work at the highest level.
Yeah, not to leave anything to chance.
References. How do you as a DP utilize reference images? Are you like collaborating with the director on the treatment?
That's pretty rare. I feel like in commercials, I don't participate in building a treatment often. Although they'll like maybe ask me some early technical question like, should we, use a robot for this job? Or like, what do you think about shooting in Mexico or whatever? Those will be the questions, but not so much pulling references. I like to make my own lookbook where I'll independently pull references and put together a little lookbook. That's, I think, pretty common. Like when I do bigger projects, I'll for sure either do that to try to win the job. Here's my vision. Do you like it or not? Or if it's a big job that I have got, I'll just try to prepare myself and like create a vocabulary of images to talk about. Like, okay, this is the vocabulary of our style of camera movement, or like this is the vocabulary of our style of lighting or stuff like that. Just because obviously an image just speaks more directly instead of just like chit-chatting about it.
I usually just think about directors building treatments, mood boards, and pitch decks. But you as the DP, you're saying you'll do that for yourself to win the project.
Even if I share it with no one. Like sometimes I'll do like all these documents and like maybe I'll never even share the link.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, more often than not, I will, and it's pretty helpful.
I want to talk about commercial filmmaking holistically a little bit. I like to ask filmmakers who work in that space why they put their creative talent and energy into the world of advertising.
I really love experimental filmmaking. I've always enjoyed watching short, weird movies more than studying like long form. That's always been more fun for me. So I really enjoy being an experimental filmmaker, which you kind of have to be on commercials. Like that's what everyone's always looking for. It's like, something new, something that's different and weird and experimental. So that's the nature of it. So that's why I quite enjoy it. And the advertising side that's the business of it. TV and film, they have their business side as well. I'm still starting out though. My goal is to definitely do more narrative work.
That seems to be the goal of so many filmmakers who work in commercial and music video, is to eventually go narrative.
Yeah, but you'll see like that bringing an experimental eye into longer forms of storytelling is so fun. So I see everything as just an opportunity to get to try stuff.
Yeah.
That interests me.
What's something that you want to try that you haven't tried yet?
I'm not sure. I think I like talking like specifics. Like if something came to me and inspired an idea, I'd run with it. But I don't know. I don't have like a bucket list necessarily off the top of my head of stuff that I want to try. I feel like I've done a lot of stuff. Like tried all the cameras and lenses, but no, it's very specific. It's very goal oriented, I think, for me right now. Like how do I achieve the goal, or like how do I achieve the thesis or vision of the director in the best way possible using the tools that I want to try. And so it's that goal motivation that I get really excited about. Like I want to achieve like the most effective answer to this problem.
Yeah.
And that problem solving is I think part of my personality. I'm more of a helper. Like I was never the one who had like the best original ideas, but I was always the one who like listened to someone's idea and was like, oh, that's cool, let me riff off of that or help you with that or build off of that. Like I liked having kind of like a brief and like going with that further instead of like, creating something myself. I don't know if I have the confidence to just like go full original with, that's why I'm not a director. But my role is quite important to want to help someone else with their idea.
I kind of poured through your work a little bit and kind of looked at some trends, and I just want to bring them up and see if you maybe know where they might come from. I noticed that there's a lot of like, you're very good at close-ups, and I know you're not always the one selecting the shots, but is creating an incredible insert shot or a detail, is that something that really motivates you?
It's all about doing less with more, or more with less. So the value add from like a really great macro detail is huge. I'm not sure where I learned this from. I guess when I was starting out, there was definitely less, and you had to do more with it. Quick little bite-sized inserts are super fun. I love these ones that you've found. Not always easy though. Like, not always easy to pull off. So it's a fun challenge. Like a little pet project of mine is like always getting a great eyeball shot, like a pupil dilating. That's always fun. It's too bad that like now I feel like I don't really need to keep shooting that. There's so many good eyeball shots in the world.
Yeah,
anyone can just go get one from Film Supply or some stock shot of an eyeball. So like my pet project is no longer that. important,
Yeah,
but it's fun to try to do that setup really, really well. I don't like this one. This one is, I've learned more since this shot. This I used sort of like a big panel light, and it's okay, but I don't like the way a broad panel source would illuminate the finer details and the colors. Like I like, it's, well, maybe in context of wherever this eyeball's supposed to be, it works, but you get a little more color and sparkle if you like hit it with a Fresnel lens, like a harder, sharper source. Like this one was a 20K, I think. This one worked a little better, just to get that color and the shine. You've made a compilation of the eyes.
Yeah, this is a segment I like to call the eyes of Ollie Millar.
Sweet.
I just noticed that it's something that you like to do a lot, and you do it very well. You know, what do you think the secret is to getting like a really, really vibrant eye shot?
You got to get the light in there. It's hard sometimes. I'm not always successful, but it's sort of that nagging thing that I think it's like a classic nagging thing that like cinematographers have. Is like, got to get that eye light in.
Which one's your favorite?
Of all of these, I guess Zendaya. That was a good eye light. That was a big eye light. Yeah. Like 20 S360s.
Honestly, my favorite is this one because you guys did that Zolly feel. You know, I mean, it's a fine eye shot, but do you remember how you guys did this?
There's definitely a little post-zoom happening there, I gotta say. But maybe a little bit of dilating is happening. Oh yeah, for sure some dilating is happening. So that's when you just, you know, you have your shot lined up. You got to get the focus just right. It's all lined up, and your model has to be resting their head and their whole body, really. I like to ask them to lie down. Super relaxed, lie down, looking up. Camera's there, you get your focus, and you switch off the light and say, keep your eye open. Just relax. And then you surprise them and turn the light back on, and the eye just goes and closes.
Nice.
And you get it before they flinch. It sounds like horrible, but it's fine. You do it lying down, and you use an LED source, so it's not too hot or anything dangerous, and you use a nice sensitive camera so that you don't have to go, well, you have to get the eyeball to go really wide, so you want to be shooting it with a pretty sensitive camera. But I've done it on film as well, and then you just have to get a bit more aggressive with the amount of light. I did one on 65 mil, where I didn't have a macro lens that was fitted to like the Panavision 65 mil mount, so I just sort of held or duct taped the lens to the front of it.
Wow.
I have this one, actually it's like literally sitting on my desk right now. I have this one lens. This is my eyeball lens.
Let's see.
This guy.
Yes, we get to see Ollie's eyeball lens.
This is the eyeball lens. I was like trying testing a shot yesterday. It's a microscope, basically. It's a rehoused microscope. This company in Colorado called Infinity Optics, they basically rehouse microscopes and put focus gears on them, and it's really nice. Put a PL mount on it. Yeah,
that's awesome. I just shot a bunch of macro stuff, and basically what you have is what I was trying to do with the probe lens that I had.
The new Laowa probe lens does a great job as well. You just have to like put a doubler on it or something to get even closer.
Slow motion. I want to talk about your use of it. You know, I mean, are you as a DP ever suggesting the change in the frame rate? Or is that something like just for the director? Like when a DP makes a lighting change, it changes one thing, but I think when you go changing the speed in which you're recording, it can like alter the story itself and how it's structured, right?
Yeah, it's always a conversation, but the conversation to get a phantom is usually one that happens well in advance, because it's such a specialized piece of kit.
Yeah.
And it means you're going to be dedicating special time to use that special kit. unfortunately, it's not commonly considered like just a spontaneous thing that you use, because a lot of people consider the high-speed camera to be this very, very specialized thing that you have to like budget for and like have a tech and, you know, all this special stuff, which I reject. I love just having it as a spontaneous extra camera, because I learned from this amazing filmmaker who you know named Jonathan Bregel, and him and I have been around the world shooting, making films where he would literally just have a Phantom in his back pocket and whip it out and shoot Phantom shots, and like he's like a Phantom wizard. So I learned from him, you don't need anything special. Sure, it's expensive, but like it's not this great whale that has to stop everything. So yeah, I love to just shoot, because you have certain things that need a certain frame rate, like liquids and water and like spray and stuff. Like this is all 500 plus frames per second. You don't really get that magic unless you get above 500. There's some things that are going to be fine with like by maxing out your Alexa or your Venice.
120 will work, but you're saying 500. There's anything above that, it enters a different layer.
You may think that a water droplet's going to be fine at 120, but it just totally isn't.
You've got a knack for capturing people in a really natural, authentic way. I know the director has a lot to do with all these shots that I'm showing you now, but can you just tell me why every single piece of work that I see of yours, I can really like relate to the person that I'm looking at?
Well, that has a lot to do with everyone on the project, not the least of which is the actors and the subjects. So, and the way that I guess the whole film sort of frames them. You know, you got music, sound design, all that sort of stuff to thank as well. That's sort of the art of the whole business, isn't it? Is buying into the lives of other people on the screen.
Handheld camera movement, it's really great. Is it always you, or are you working with an operator?
A lot of great operators that I've worked with, but I think in general I'm pretty hands-on. I'm pretty hands-on with the camera. I think I get more. You're kind of the last layer before the subject you're trying to capture. A lot of the fun is right there. And the physical, we're talking about this, like your body is like the tool as well. It's like, it's more fun to just stay physical with the camera.
Yeah.
I like to keep that for myself sometimes. You could have an operator, but it's fun to be out there with the camera running around, like, you know, chasing a soccer ball or whatever.
That is the epitome of getting in there and interacting with what you're creating, right? It's to literally be the one holding the camera, I think.
When I meet operators who share that same joy, I really get along with them, and I really enjoy their footage. Like the same joy to just like sweat and like run and get fun shots. And I've met a lot of operators who share that, and those are the ones who I'll like for sure pass off the camera to, because you sense that joy when the director says cut, and they're like, they look at you and they're smiling, they're like, I got this great, and then when that happened, I got this moment, and they get really into it. They're not just sort of like, what are the notes, you know? It's that adrenaline.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, capturing the moment, everything came together at the right time, the right place, with the right people.
You're showing some stuff from a Facebook spot I shot a long time ago, and I would say half of it was the director operating, actually. Zachary Heinzerling.
Oh, really?
He shoots a lot himself, and we kind of tag teamed it. That was an early opportunity he gave me, like one of my first big jobs.
What do you think about that when the director wants to operate?
I love it. Yeah. That's what it's all about. It's like they want to see the world a certain way, and the possibilities are endless. So if you're not open to that, you're missing this huge world. Like being open to like a specific way a director wants to point the camera is like a gift, right? Like that, I want to see the way they see the world. And if I can, and if they are doing something where I feel like I could help them, then I like I guess I can take inspiration from the way they see and then help them with that. It's never the case that they want to pick up the camera and then they just suck. That's never the case, because then they probably wouldn't want to operate if they just didn't have any
Right.
passion for it. But
Right.
but the ones that do want to grab the camera and operate are the ones who I am happy to see that, because it's like a gift to me.
You seem to be really involved with the technical part of filmmaking. I mean, how much of the job as a DP do you think involves a technical aspect?
I think you have your like really, really technical nerdy DPs, and then you have your like ones who aren't, but it doesn't matter, because it's just like how you see. And yeah, you can surround yourself with people who help you do all the other technical aspects, but it's really all just about how you see.
I mean, how much do you personally rely on your keys in order to bring the image to life, like your gaffer, the ACs, cam op?
I rely on them as much as I know that they're capable. So like on running heavily, because they're like way more experienced than me and have such a great eye and instinct. So a lot of work goes onto their plate because they can, and they're gonna make the project better because of it. And then, you know, at other times when I have to be more self-reliant, I am. So
Yeah.
it depends on the crew.
Random question. What do you think is overrated?
Oh, you know what's overrated is like all the different camera rigs. Like, it seems like you got a special rig for everything these days. Like, there's like all sorts of different camera rigs, and I tend to reject that. I like to just have my camera, and I'm talking like the AC builds, like the different camera builds, like when you build it up with all the handlebars and like rods and crap. I like to just strip it back and just go super simple with it. I find that like big camera builds with all the little cable ties and all the little different special accessories are overrated for me.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Maybe it's just to keep my mind simple, is like the body with the lens on it and like a little monitor that I can take away and put back on. And it's like, that's how I like it. I find that all the gack is overrated.
Yeah.
Oh, and what else? There's a bunch of stuff, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I've spent a lot of time around ACs, and they really, some of them really love the look, the feel, the efficiency of a clean build. But I think like if you do that too much, I've seen it on set where it's like, okay, we need to adapt something quickly or move something quickly. It takes a lot of time to have to undo all this this sculpture, camera sculpture you've made, you know?
Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe it's because I don't know. I'm not thinking it too deeply, but maybe I've had those moments where it's like, yeah, I have to adapt quickly.
What's underrated?
In commercials, just taking the time to scout with a DP. We talked about this before, but like, I guess it goes in. It's the prep thing. Like, any amount of time where like I can go on a director's scout or something, I think would pay dividends to like a production, because there would be less of this like fear-based decision making of like, I don't know if we're going to need it, but we better have it, because it's better to have it and not need it than not have it, and then need it. So you get a lot of that if I am not as if I haven't been shared like as many details as possible. So like scouting the location early on, just with the director, would pay back, I think. So that's underrated.
Yeah.
Because I don't. Well, maybe it's not underrated. I think people like probably they get my point, but it just doesn't happen that much in commercials.
Sure. Makes a lot of sense. What do you think holds a lot of filmmakers back?
There should be nothing holding filmmakers back because you can do anything. All you need is like your iPhone. So
yeah.
And it's been that way for a while. So it's like the thing holding people back is, I guess, well, besides the physical life of like time, energy, space, is just like mental fences. Like there's no thing that you need to do to go out and make a film. You don't have to take a class, and you don't have to like meet you don't have to like meet a producer who's gonna like give you give you some okay that you can go do this thing. You can just go make movies with your friends. That's what I did in high school. I just went out and made movies with my friends without knowing anything at all. And I had a Handycam. So the things that I could have done with my iPhone back then is insane. It's so crazy. I can shoot like slow motion on my iPhone now. I would have been having so much fun with that when I was like 16.
Yeah. I think in a way, for most people, it's never been easier to make your dreams a reality when it comes to making film.
Yeah, I don't know what the things holding people back are. Probably this like, watching behind the scenes of like on this show, being like, whoa, that's so hard, like that huge setup. I could never do that big setup. That would cost too much. I'll never get into a studio. Like those ideas are pernicious because, to be honest, like we could have made a super sick film with nothing. Maybe it wouldn't have had Zendaya in it, but like we could have done some really cool dance film with just like a bunch of friends, cool idea. It doesn't matter. But I guess like, because this was like, in a professional realm of like, a company commissioning it, it's like, it looks really, really hard. We made it hard, I guess, because we needed to have all this like confidence in it, and like these like pre-prescripted ideas that had to come true, guaranteed on time, at like a really high standard. But like if you remove those like fears, those like deliverable necessities, then the access to just going and experimenting with an idea are definitely in anyone's grasp.
Yeah, I guess that's what they're paying for, isn't it? They're taking away potential variables. Timetables are short. There's a guarantee that things will go well. I mean, do you think that's where a lot of the budget goes towards?
Well, it's like all engineered for a purpose. It's like purposefully engineered to like by like really, really smart like creative people in the advertising business. So they like have a certain they just have a certain goal, and they need to hire a certain artist to help achieve that goal, and then it trickles down eventually to me, and then I'm there to like guarantee that something can get done.
Do you like working at that level? Like, what brings Ollie the most joy when it comes to the work that you're making?
Yeah, I love doing these setups. It's really challenging. So I get a lot of joy from the challenge. and that pressure is what makes it challenging. Like this really has to work. Like I have to achieve these things. There's a lot of conditions. There's like a lot of variables. There's a lot of barriers, but I need to like kind of figure out a way around it. Nobody has like a barrier-free commercial. There's always going to be like tons of limitations. So I don't know, I find it fun to navigate that and get like really nice images. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about making the moving image look really cool. It's that experimenting and playing it back and seeing it work. That's really satisfying. It's like that. It's like a weird, It's a weird feedback cycle that's always been interesting to me. That's why I've always been making like movies since I was like 9 years old.
Yeah, are you getting the same thing out of it these days that you were when you were doing it at 9? Is it the same feeling? Same payoff?
Yeah, exactly. That's the same payoff. It's like filmmaking is you're projecting the 3D world onto a 2D plane. That's like the medium. And I've been obsessed with that medium since I was 9, because I was like in my basement making like claymation movies, like setting up this like little diorama and then like moving things frame by frame. And then when I play it back on the screen, it's like, whoa, I've created this little illusion, this little like flip book. So like everything since then has just been like making it like just more layers, more frames per second, more factors, more layers. And just, I guess it's like this is like a weird psychological exploration. I don't know why I was obsessed with that. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's like a pretty like trivial little job, trivial little obsession that I've been hooked on.
I mean, while we're talking about payoffs, what do you get out of this career that isn't the final work?
Stories, relationships. I get to meet so many cool people and friendships. Like, because I spend so much of my lifetime on set doing this stuff, like many of my greatest friendships are like the people who work alongside me. So that's the first biggest thing. Like, I'm lucky that I earn a living doing this, so I can keep doing this. But I think it's like being able to have some ownership over the finished product and is really satisfying. But yeah, I'd say it's like the people and traveling. I guess I get to travel a lot, so that's pretty fun. And sort of see like how everyone in the world shares so much. Like everybody that I've met all over the place is just that we all share the same the same desires in life. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, getting to travel and meet so many people of like diverse backgrounds.
Yeah, I'm sure it gives you pretty great perspective that aids
good perspective. Yeah, I miss documentaries because that gives you even like the most diverse perspective, because you're making all sorts of subjects, interviewing all sorts of people for that specific reason, because it's something interesting or it's something diverse or it's something that like people ought to know about, and you're that first person to like get out there and like know about it. So that was cool, doing documentaries, and I envy people who are still doing that.
Have you done a lot of those?
No, I wouldn't say a lot, but I definitely started in that space in Canada. Yeah, doing a lot of editing actually for documentaries, and eventually shooting.
Well, with someone with your experience level, I imagine you've learned some lessons. We all learn them along the way. Is there one that stands out to you?
I can deflect that question by saying, I don't feel like I'm ever like, I'm not even close to being like a learned person. It's like always a matter of figuring it out and learning. Like I don't see myself as having the answers to anything at all. So yeah, I try not to make some mistakes again. So, but I don't, but any, yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. It's an ever expanding, it's a fractal. The more you look at it, the more detail there is. And the more you don't know, it just goes on forever.
Yeah. That's part of why it's exciting, I think, to do what we're doing. Yeah, I don't think we ever really arrive at this place, you know?
No, the classic artist thing to say is like, what's your best work? And you say it's the next one. That's exactly me. I don't think I'm there.
Well, Ollie, last question. What haven't I asked you?
I really find it interesting that you've looked at a lot of old work and sort of scrubbed a timeline of stuff. Like, I'm curious you said you've noticed patterns. What are some of those patterns? Have you noticed change? Have you noticed? Because I'm not sure if there is a necessary pattern.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. I might not have a good. I love how you threw it back to me. I might not have a good answer for you, but I find it just so fascinating that, and I've talked to other filmmakers about this before, is that like we can try as hard as we want to be diverse and as hard as we want to be open to evolve as filmmakers, but there's like these innate things within us that cause us to make decisions with what we create that we may not have total control over. And that idea fascinates me. I mean, do you believe that?
Yes, actually, that's a great question, because I think about this a lot as it relates to referencing things, referencing other imagery, other art from the past. And I believe that if you, as hard as you reference something, there's the quantum randomness that happened in the process of making art that will always make everything different. Like, it'll always add something that you didn't expect or you didn't know. So, yeah. I love it when people reference my work and then it turns into something else, just as I reference other art and it turns into something of my own. Yeah. And I think that's just like a universal fact of human like learning. You like mimicry. It's mimicry and then it evolves. There's a quantum randomness in there as you mimic that makes it your own, that makes it different, and then there's a process of change that comes from that, and it's just the way of the world.
Yeah, and there's also this idea that like everything is a remix. You know, nothing is truly original.
You add here and there, you tune it to like the message you're trying to make, and it's just it's just art history in progress.
Well, to progress, Ollie, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
My pleasure. Thanks, Dylan.